The Bhagwad Gita is one of the most sacred texts in Hinduism. It is also one of the most popular scriptures in the world. It is a 700-verse Hindu scripture that is part of the ancient Sanskrit epic Mahabharata. It's been called the single most important work of Hindu literature and has had a profound impact on Indian thought and culture. This sacred Hindu text is often considered to be part of the Mahabharata, but was it written separately from the epic poem? In this video, we explore this question and try to find an answer. The hour before the conflict was too vital for such a deep and detailed conversation. Some people believe it takes place in a magical time and space, and not in commonplace history and geography. Others suggest that these passages were added later by Brahmins to combine Vedanta philosophy into the great epic and turn it into religious literature about the broader Vaishnava and Vedanta tradition. Many people consider the Gita to be a separate creation from the Mahabharata. They see it as a philosophical treatise that highlights key Hindu ideals such as soul, religion, exercise, knowledge, karma or deeds, devotion, and salvation. It is important to read the Gita within the framework of the Mahabharata, and this context is lost when we read the Gita in solitary. The Bhagwad Gita, also known as the Song of the Divine One, is a Sanskrit scripture in which Krishna, the text's narrator, refers to himself as the Divine One and in which the lines are composed in a poetic form that is typically sung. The name the Gita has become synonymous with this work. Both Gita Panyad and Yoga Panyad refer to the Bhagavad Gita, suggesting that it is an Upanishad. Being a part of the Mahabharata makes it a Smriti work, but calling it an Upanishad is meant to elevate it to the level of revealed wisdom. The time of the crisis, troops are ready to battle when Arjuna has his doubts, and a mental breakdown establishes early on that this is a philosophy given in a crisis that must be impatiently resolved. To achieve its goal, it must convince a person who is resisting to take immediate action. Unlike, an example, a conversation between Shiva and Shakti on Mount Kailasa, when neither side has anything to gain or lose, there is a real conflict here. The Gita isn't just a philosophical discourse, it's a conversation with a purpose that aims to change not just thoughts but actions. It's more than just basic maths. The second setting is familial. It is not any ordinary fight or crisis. A family is involved here. Arjuna is not bothered by violent struggle. A bit of a stretch, Mahatma Gandhi tried to show that the Gita is really about non-violence and that the conflict is merely a metaphor. It's a saga full of bloodshed and disputes over property. If the Kauravas weren't his kin, Arjuna wouldn't hesitate to kill them. But since they are, he questions if it would be right, because a warrior is expected to look out for his people. In response, Krishna explains that in his Vishwarupa form, the world is his family, yet he still needs to convince certain members of his family to sacrifice others so that they may survive. Thus, he prompts Arjuna to consider the barrier that separates relatives from acquaintances. Why is it acceptable to kill one set of people but another? The final setting is the war itself. The Bhagavad Gita is often portrayed in popular culture, particularly by nationalists, as a discourse delivered by Krishna to inspire Arjuna to destroy the Kauravas and triumph over them. Once the discourse ends, Arjuna is said to have gained complete enlightenment and be prepared for battle. However, the rest of the tale following the Gita shows us that this is not the case. When it comes time to assassinate Bhisma, Drona, and Karna, Arjuna hesitates every time. The death of his son Abhimanyu is the turning point that makes the war personal for him. And in the end, the Pandavas conquer, but at the cost of their whole progeny. The outcome of the Dharma war is unclear. It was a victory, but the costs were too high. That's what happens when good deeds are finally rewarded. The ancient epic text Mahabharata is considered one of the most important spiritual texts in all of Hinduism. The text is a conversation between Krishna, an avatar of Vishnu, and Arjuna, a warrior about to fight in a great battle. Krishna counsels Arjuna on how to do his duty as a warrior and how to deal with the fear of death.